Hey guys, and welcome to a continuation, an offshoot, spin-off, call it what you will, of my Out of the Park 21 series, now with the Boston Red Sox, formerly of the Chicago Cubs. The date is October 19th, 2027, and we are coming off of a Chicago Cubs World Series championship. We have resigned our position as the general manager of the Cubs, and we have taken over the Boston Red Sox, and it has not been good for the Red Sox. We looked at this a little bit at the end of the last episode, but we're going to dive a little bit further into the team here. You can see since we started back in 2020, they have had one winning season. They won 84 games back in 2023, but the last three seasons have not been good. 59 and 103 last year, 68 and 94 the year before that, and 56 and 106 the previous season. Let's start. Let's start with. Let's just start with the front office because that's going to be the easiest. So we are going to make some moves here. Our scouting director looks pretty good. Outstanding, excellent, 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 or outstanding, excellent, outstanding, outstanding. So we will probably stick with our scout. Our team trainer is okay. Our hitting coach is bad. Our pitching coach is the definition of average. So let's go and let's see what we can do in terms of upgrading some of our staff. Start with trainers. Want someone who's good at prevention. It's going to be this gentleman right here, Paul Buckheit. Buckheit. Looks like the right answer to me. Going to offer him a contract, fire our coach. Now going to look at pitching coaches. Tendencies. Doug Bochtler. Excellent power pitchers. Cal Eldred. Good. And who they get along with doesn't really matter because we're going to end up getting rid of everybody, I think, when it's all said and done. I think it's going to be Bochtler, though. Been with the Cubs. He's been with us for the last 7 years. And in typical Theo Epstein manner, we are going to poach from a team that we used to coach. Let's look at hitting coaches. Eddie Diaz, D'Angelo Jimenez, Marcus Thames, Power. And I guess it doesn't really matter because we're not going to sign players based on our hitting coaches. D'Angelo Jimenez looks like a good option. Right, and who is our assistant GM? Mike Lucas. Oh, good. That's a good move. He was with the Windy City Thunderbolts, and we brought him to the Red Sox. Okay. Well, let's look at assistant GMs. And again, this is probably the least important of the bunch, but still. Ideally, I get somebody who's all blue, but I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. It's just how they feel about the choices you make. So we'll go after this guy. He looks pretty good. Favor prospects, favor power, favor offense, favor on base percentage. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's, where is he? This gentleman, Chris Donlin. All right. So that's what we're going to do with our coaching staff. Let's take a look at the prospect pipeline just so we can kind of get a feel for, because we had some decent prospects. We didn't have anybody that was earth shattering, but we have 1, We have 7 in the top 100, although a couple of them, I don't know. I mean, can you really consider a 26-year-old a prospect? Um, it's debatable. Even our top prospect is 23 years old. Pitched for us this past season. He's hurt right now. Mike, let's look at him. Omar Burrell. I'll just call him Burrell. Omar Burrell. If we make him starter, it's 4 stars, or let's get some scouting reports on some of these guys. So he's got 4 decent pitches, 6 pitches in total. He could be pretty good. He's scouting discovery. Got some time with us last year. Wasn't very good. Mike Rushing, 20-year-old shortstop. It's okay. Oops, not what I want. It's okay. Let's get a scouting report on him. Not very good defensively. He was in high school for 6 years. Not very bright either, apparently. And our third prospect is Jerry Gonzalez, an 18-year-old. He's not terrible. Kind of like him. He's got a decent bat, very good speed. There's scouting discovery. So we have a couple of decent prospects in the system, but nobody that's going to blow you away. But this is where it gets ugly. It's when you look at the main, when you look at our big league roster. It's not pretty. Nolan Arenado is our best player by far. 6 WAR last year's first season with the Red Sox. He is signed for 2 more seasons. I guess 1 more season beyond this. The vesting option will probably look to move really everybody. There's not a single person on this offensive side of things that I look at and say this guy is an absolute keeper. A couple of decent players. Jesse Winkler's okay. Jeter Downs has been. I mean, if Downs puts up these numbers for the Red Sox over the course of his career in real life, I'll take it, I guess, especially this year here, 2023, where he seemed to be blossoming, but then sort of backtracked. So, but really, there isn't anything else here that is. Obviously we're going to need to keep some of these guys because we're going to need to field a team, but there will likely be a few moves made right off the bat to see what we can do to improve things next year. Pitching wasn't much better. Again, we looked at all this last time, but Aldo Ramirez is probably my best young pitcher. Scouting report. He was 8-19 with a 5.21 last year. Good stuff, good control. 4 good pitches, okay movement. He is our default ace, I guess. We have a little bit of money, but that we can increase. I was looking at some of this stuff before. Right now we have $38 million sunk into our draft, which we don't need. Do want to bump this up to 5. And let's bump the player development budget up to 20. Let's bump scouting up to 18. All right. So not going to put as much into international. Put it into amateur scouting. So what does that do for us? Okay, so that gives us a little more money. It increases scouting and development, drops our draft budget, which is fine. And get some tea. Team's still making money, which is the crazy thing with how bad they've been. So we are into salary arbitration. The AI made some offers prior to us taking over that I'm going to go and take a look at because I'm not sure I want to. See here, they made extension offers to 8 different players. So let's take a look. I can tell you right off the bat, Luis Gonzalez is, we're going to try to trade him. And if we can't get anything for him, we're going to withdraw the offer because I'm not paying him $5.5 million. So let's take a look. And I'm not going to sit here and go through all of this with you guys. We're going to look at a couple of the main things, and then I will sim ahead and we'll see what we can do off camera. No reason for you to sit here and watch me mess around with some of this stuff on camera. I don't think. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what I thought. So we are going to withdraw this offer. Let's do the same thing with DJ Burt. I mean, he looks like he could be a decent player, but he's 32 years old. I don't want to pay him that much money. Let's see if we get anything for Burt. Let's start with prospects. Don't be surprised if I try to raid my former farm system for players. I know those players well, so I can feel a little more confident about some of them. Cherez, if I get Cherez, Butcher, and Luke Lito from the Cubs. Let's see what else is available real quick. 22-year-old closer that I have no need for. What I'd really like is a bat, but yeah, let's make a trade with the Yankees. It's not going to happen. And Poppy. Danny Arguda. Pittsburgh. Catching prospect from Tampa. On him. Low contact. I'm not crazy about that. Let's go up to Chicago. And let's see if we can do this with both of Cherez Butcher. Oops, I got to turn off. Forgot that I had commissioner mode on when I switched over to the Red Sox. So he doesn't like that. Can we, knowing what we know about this team, is there anybody that Jun Lee. I mean, that's somebody I absolutely consider trading, but about that. So I could send them a 34-year-old Jesse Winker and DJ Burt and pick up Joey Van Luke and Luke Lito. That would give me my starting first baseman and a decent starting pitcher. Let's do that. Let's do this, and let's see if can add anything to it. Cole Wagner never made it. That was a shame. Specs. And I am going to try to limit how much I trade with this team just because I don't want it to be the same series, but at the same time, like I said before, I know these players well. They've been in my system for so long. I know what they look like. I know how they're going to perform. Alex Chacon. All right, I think we're going to have a deal here. Send them. Send them a gentleman. That works. So we shave 12 million. We're going to pick up Lito, Chacon, and Van Luke for Burt, Winker, and Dorsey. Cool. All right. So that's fine. I don't care. So we go to designate. So we're going to go to all these guys up. 40 man is full. Heading. Designate. Do I want to put Chacon on the... I don't think he's ready yet. Put him in double A. What? Alright, well, it's fine. Okay. So let's go back and look at arbitration. Going to withdraw here. Jeter Downs wants 15 million for 8 years. I'm going to offer him a qualifying offer. TJ Antone. Going to look at. All right, so what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at the rest of these guys. Most of them are pretty cheap, so I'm not too worried about it. But I'm going to go and look at each of them, see what those contracts were that were offered, see if it makes sense for me to pull those offers. And we'll go from there. And when we come back, it'll be free agency. So hang tight, and we'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, we are back. It is free agency time, and it's gonna be ugly. We have some pretty unmovable contracts, namely these four. I've tried McMahon. Nobody wants anything to do with Ryan McMahon. Severino and Tyone were getting more expensive contracts in return. We have plenty of money to spend. I mean, we've got $40 million in free agents, 84 in extensions because all this money's coming off the books next year. But we got to be smart about it. I don't want to just start throwing money around, and there are some pretty high quality free agents out there. So we'll just have to be smart about it. And I was looking at some of our players, and we have some talent. Luis Perales isn't bad. 2 really good pitches, a third okay. He'll be a starter next year. This was our prospect. Again, he looks decent. So we've got a couple of good players, but it's still ugly. It's still really, really ugly. So let's take a look at, I mean, really, we look at our lineup and say we need pretty much anything. The only position that I would say we won't be looking for is first base. We will be putting Van Luke there. And if he doesn't work out, then we McMahon there. So ideally, though, McMahon gets moved. So hopefully I can clear up that money. Actually, let's just take a look now. Now that it's free agency and everybody has kind of cleared stuff off their books, let's just see. Nothing. Wow. Suppose it could be the DH. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, so he's going to be my DH, it looks like, for the next couple of years. That contract is unmovable. Is there anybody here? Yeah, except I'm eating 75% of the contract. Severino, now that he's down to a year. Anybody make an offer for him? Nope. All right, so I'm basically going to treat this team like they're an expansion team. And this is what was available in the expansion draft. So we'll be looking to move people throughout the course of the season. But yeah, I mean, realistically, if we look at our team here, so let's just clear the lineups for now. So clear the charts. So our only catcher is Grant Koch, captain. so he'd be a good backup. So, backup. Luke is going to be our starting first baseman. And will be our DH. It might be the other way around just because Van Luke's not a very good defensive baseman. But Arenado at third. Oh my, this is just bad. This guy's good defensively, but I'm probably going to look to move him. Oof. Lugo is our starting shortstop. That's not good. This is really, really bad. Yeah, we need everything. All right, so I'm not even going to bother because we need everything. So let's take a look at free agents. A lot of big names. Here, and to look at, what am I looking at here? It's just all batters. It's OY me. Agency type. All right. So, wow. So because I dropped the team right after the season ended, didn't offer them salary arbitration. Wow. Okay. Kito Mori. That's probably going to be a target of ours because we need a shortstop. Matt Manning is absolutely going to be a target of ours because he only wants. In fact, let's just do that now. Let's just get Matt Manning out of the way. Let's go through and let he wants 1 year. About 3 years. 3 years at 5. Or does he really just want the 1 year to sort of reestablish? Nope. Okay, it's fine. 3 years at 15. Him. It's 18. Giving him 9 years. Let's give him 6 years. Opt out. Don't forget, I'm going to have a ton of money next year. So do this, then we do an opt out after year 4. Bump down a year. Okay. All right, now we got to look for cheap. As much as I would like to take a dive into the world of Mookie and Marquez and Devers, it's just going to be too much. Kopech would be a great addition if he wasn't disruptive. Can't afford that. Mize is going to be out for the season. Nice pickup. All right, so I'm going to dig through. You saw the first 2 big moves that we're going to go after Matt Manning, coming from Detroit, and Kato Mori out of Japan. Scroll through and see what I can do to fill in the rest of the roster with people. Not necessarily talent, but people. And we'll see what we can do. So when we come back, it'll be the Rule 5 draft. And we'll see if we can load up our team with some Rule 5 picks. So hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it is Rule 5 draft time. But before we get to that, let's take a look at some of the moves that we have made leading up to today. So we'll go backwards. So we signed Kevin Biggio away from the Milwaukee Brewers to a 2-year, $9 million deal. He will be our starting second baseman, and you'll see why momentarily. Biggio, good leader, good speed, good defense, good eye. Not going to do anything else particularly well, but when you're losing, you want to have leaders on the team so that things don't fall into disarray, and he will do that. He did play pretty well last year. He's a 20 home run guy for 6 straight seasons for Toronto um, before they sent him packing. So signed Kevin Biggio. He signed Griffin Conine. I don't even know if he's going to make the big league roster, but good power, good eye. Not much else. Max Kepler. We signed to a 3-year contract to be our starting right fielder. It's really a 1-year deal with 2 team options. If he plays well, we'll keep him. If he doesn't play well, we'll either decline the option or move him. But he hit 30 home runs a year ago in Minnesota. He's coming off of a poor season. That's weird. He played for Minnesota, then played for Milwaukee for 1 year, then went back to Minnesota. But he's hit 34 years old. He's hit 321 home runs. So give us some decent production out in right field. Go back here. We did re-sign Corey Lee, our catcher, to a 1-year deal. He wasn't very good, but there were no other options, so he will be a starter. We did sign Kato Mori to a long-term deal, 6 years, $100 million, opt out after 4 seasons. He's a very, very good defensive shortstop, very, very good speed. We'll play him at the bottom of the lineup, and if he hits 250, 260 and hits 10 home runs, it will be a success. You can see just some crazy WAR numbers in his time in Japan. So hopefully he can come up and do something similar for us. We made a couple of deals. So we traded first, I guess we'll start. Oh, we made 2 trades. No. Yeah, right here. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, so we traded David Bednar, Jose Leclerc, and Joe Simmons, 3 relievers, to the Angels for Jose Bonilla, Jorge Vanderwielen, and Alex De Hoyos. So this was really just a salary dump, but we got 3 decent players in return. Bednar was the best of the bunch. He was our closer last year, but he was making $6.5 million. Traded him and Leclerc, making $4 million, as well as Joe Simmons, who actually wasn't bad. Simmons has the potential to be a decent starter, but he's already 26 and had to give up a little bit to get this package in return. So in return, we get Bonilla, who will be a backup infielder for us. He's only 25, but pretty solid across the board. Decent speed, good defense. His stick is all right, not great, but okay. Jorge Vanderwielen, really solid power. Not very good at third base, but he's still only 19 years old. Potential impact, power bat. And Alex De Hoyos, a really, really solid center fielder, good work ethic. He's a captain. And if his bat comes along like we think it will, he could be a solid pickup. So got those prospects from the Angels, and then we made a deal with the Baltimore Orioles. And this was actually a deal I was looking at with when I was with the Cubs, was picking up these 2 players, and we actually made the deal with the Orioles. So we traded Oh-Jun Lee and Bobby Strange to the Orioles, getting Manny Ramirez, Manny Flores, and Mike Valdvicio. So Lee, 26 years old, good defense, good speed, decent bat. Put up almost 7 WAR in AAA last year, but he is already 26, along with a 22-year-old outfielder who's admittedly has the potential to be pretty good, but no hustle, low leader, low loyalty, low work ethic, could potentially be a problem. Was the number 80 prospect in the game, so we moved as well. And in return, we get Manny Ramirez, who he will probably be our starting first baseman, our starting DH. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with McMahon, but I didn't want to sit on this. His bat was too good to pass up. So Manny Ramirez, Manny Flores, who can play first, center, and right. We may stick him in left and see if he can play left field. Really good speed, decent outfielder. very, very good against righties, not great against lefties, so he'll probably be a platoon bat. And then Valdivieso, the pitcher, 4 potentially good pitches, good stuff, good movement, decent control, only 20 years old. So a couple of good players there as well. And we still have a couple of contracts that we're waiting to sign. We actually removed the contract offer from Matt Manning, and that was because I started looking, and his stamina was only like a 28 or something. Here it's 23. So he's actually a reliever. And I noticed that, so I pulled the offer. And in exchange, we offered Casey Mize a 3-year, $25 million contract. Mize will be back sometime mid-season. Hopefully his numbers don't fall too much over the next 7 months, and we'll get ourselves a decent pitcher on the cheap. And then Louis Patino. We offered him about $2.9 million. Good stuff, really good movement, 3 really good pitches, struggles with the control, but that's a high ceiling type pitcher. So hopefully that works out. Let's take a look at our roster and make sure there's nobody that we want to stick on. No, we're going to put him on the 40-man. Anybody who's got any sort of potential at all, we may as well stick on the 40-man. To scouting. There. To add some minor leaguers. We got some really underage guys playing a lot higher up than they. So I got to add some minor league depth. Let's go to the Rule 5. We have the number 2 pick. Oh, Colorado is actually worse than us this year. All right. So let's go to the 2nd pick. Oh, they didn't take anybody. Okay. I mean, we take anybody. That's one of the nice things about being terrible. Let's look at batting potential. I don't want ratings. I want potential. Get it right eventually. All right. So what do we got? Ottavino Padron. For 62 prospect in baseball. Nice take him from the Yankees. Definitely need a catcher, but neither of these guys are. I don't know. He's not bad. Our scout thing. As a catcher. And I have a feeling we're going to be able to take multiple players here. Bob Cardenas. It's our Joey Van Luke. This guy's pretty good. I think we go after. Scroll through and make sure there's nothing else that stands out. Just scriven. I mean, we're going to go as far here as we need to. Just doesn't make any sense not to. So let's draft Medina. Go until our next pick. Guy from the Yankees still there. Oh, take him. I think we're going to take Phillips if he's still there. He is. Need a catcher, so we're going to take Phillips. Let's look at pitchers. I don't particularly if there was any earth shattering, but get a decent starter. Addicts Burns. Kings of a starter. Starter. Auto's only 20. We're gonna just stick with what we had. Christian Little's not. Got a ton of pitchers. Most of them aren't very good, but we've got a ton of pitchers. So, all right. So we are going to auto complete draft, and that's going to do it for this segment. Pick up Ricky Medina from Kansas City. Pick up Ottaviano Padron from the Yankees, and we pick up Chris Phillips from the Reds. So I am going to sim ahead now to opening day, and we'll go over the rest of the moves that were made, and we'll call it an episode. So tight, and we'll be back for you guys. It'll be instantaneous. Be right back. All right, guys, we are back, and it is opening day. A couple of things happened in the meantime, so let's take a look at them. I swear I did not go hunting down Chicago Cubs for this one. I actually have look at settings. I actually switched trading. For the Cubs series, I had it on hard and neutral. I actually switched this one to hard and heavily favor prospects just to make it a little bit greater of a challenge. And I was still able to complete this trade, so I don't feel bad about it. If we go to the major transactions, where are we? We're in March of just my transactions. Go back to, I guess we go back to December, see if anything happened there that we haven't discussed. Yeah, there it is. So we'll start up here. We signed Casey Mize to a 3-year, $25 million contract. He'll be out through, July? He'll be back in August. Hopefully, like we talked about, we'll be able to, his numbers will stay right where they are, and it'll be basically a 2.5-year, $25 million contract. If he puts up, these sorts of numbers like he did with the Cubs, he'll be worth the 10 or 12 million a year. Let's see. Yeah, so go back and we'll look as we cover this. And this was the big move right here. We offered up Nolan Arenado and sent him to Oz. All right, so this was the big move. In December, we sent, right after the Rule 5 draft, we sent Nolan Arenado, Ottaviano, Padron, and Viles to the Cubs, getting Sixto Sanchez, Mario Guaraca, and Mario Gonzalez in return. Like I said, I had trading difficulty set to hard on highly favored prospects. This deal was accepted by the Cubs, so I took it. I offered up Arenado first, and they came back with Sixto Sanchez, so I started with an Arenado for Sanchez type deal. Added in Guaraca, and they still took it, so they took Sanchez and Guaraca for Arenado. Added in Mario Gonzalez. I did that. They wanted more, so I offered in Padron. That was almost enough. I offered in a 1-star pitcher in Aviles and was able to make it happen. So Arenado, excuse me, 1 year with the Red Sox, 31 home runs, 85 RBIs, good for 5.6 WAR. We also sent Padron, who's the number 62 prospect. Excuse me. Padron, this number 62 prospect we got in the Rule 5 draft from the Yankees, and sent them to the north side. In exchange, we get Sixto Sanchez,
who immediately becomes our ace. He's been rock solid for us with the Cubs the last 4 years. Um, and I'll show you why I think that they were willing to make this deal in a second. We picked up Guaraka, who will become our starting center fielder, and Mario Gonzalez, who is the number 12 or number 16 prospect in baseball. Our scout thinks he's a little different than what we had for the Cubs, but he will be our starting second baseman this year. Great speed, great defense, and a lot of power. If you look at the Cubs, you'll see that their offense looks very, very different. I'll show you. Actually, let's do that really quick. So let's look at. So they had three big name free agents um, in Rafael Devers, Mookie Betts, and German Marquez, and they didn't re-sign any of them. Uh, if we look at the Yankees signed two of those three players. They signed both Devers and Betts. Devers to a 5-year, $103 million contract, and Betts to a 3-year, $85 million contract. So the two big bats went from Chicago to New York, and then on the pitching side, I think he went to Capitals, if I remember correctly. Yeah, German Marquez went to the Angels on a 5-year, $137 million contract. So the Cubs had to make they had to do something to their offense as they lost their two big bats and a couple of other strange decisions. They put Bo Naylor in at their starting catcher, and they put Justin Stewart starting in center. It's neither here nor there. They signed Noah Syndergaard in the offseason. So once they signed Syndergaard, they had Pearson, Pruitt, Syndergaard, Mendez, Fado, and Sanchez. So my thought process was that they didn't have a third baseman because they had traded or they had not re-signed Rafael Devers. Shut that off. Sorry, once again, my email. So once they lost Devers, they needed a third baseman. They had a surplus of pitching depth, and they are a win now team. They still kept two of their three best prospects in Edgar Mata and Alex Bernal. So that's why the deal was made. They've been offering up and just some of the things the AI does when they take over a team. It's just bizarre. They've been offering up Carlos Rodriguez and Cherez Butcher in just about every trade offer, and I can't bring myself to continue to make deals with them. So we're gonna stick with that, and that will be hopefully the last trade I make with the Cubs. I wasn't anticipating making a trade with the Cubs, but um, when the offer was made for Arenado, it was just too good to pass up. So it's time to set our lineup. Um, we have to send a whole bunch of people down. That's the Cubs. What? We already sent everybody. Yeah, we have sent everybody down. So let's go ahead and set our bullpens, set our lineups, set our rotations, and call it a day. Oh, we also made what else did we do? We made a trade with the Dodgers. It's clear that Max Kepler wasn't going to make the squad, so we moved him to the Los Angeles Dodgers, getting Taj Bradley in return. Bradley is three good pitches. He's not happy being with us because we're no good, but hopefully he can slide into the rotation and solid piece there. So we moved Max Kepler. And that was it. Yeah. So let's set the pitching staff. So our ace will be Mr. Sanchez. Number 2 is going to be Aldo Ramirez. Then Taj Bradley. Then kind of want to leave Patino. I think his stuff, that lack of control, probably plays better as a starter than it does a reliever. You can work yourself out of that problem. And then think we're gonna go with Luke. Now my bullpen is a mess. My bullpen is terrible. So, Beaver. Jacks him up to 100 stuff. All right. Oh man, my bullpen is so bad. I think we're gonna make Perales the closer. Hey man, it really doesn't matter. This is just a bad, bad bullpen. Mata will be set up. L will be set up. Middle relief. Long relief. Starting pitcher. So we're gonna definitely have to do something with our bullpen. This is just an awful, awful bullpen. Starters aren't terrible. It'll look a whole lot better once we get Casey Mize back and we can slot him in behind Sanchez, but that's just ugly. All right, anyway, let's take a look at lineups. All right, so leading off, go with Guaraka leading off in center. Luke second in. There is a better first baseman. Ramirez will bat third in play H. Batting fourth will be. We're going to go lefty, lefty, lefty. So we moved Ryan McMahon to third base. I don't know why it doesn't have him listed as a baseman. We got to get some sort of playing out of him. Manny Flores in the 4-hole. Guys are so. Geo first and second. That's it. All right. So catcher, second, third, short, and so towards the bottom. You can mess around with that in a minute. So, makes sense. Learn how to play left field. Left. Third. Gonzalez at second. Corey Lee. Yeah, I guess. With that, I might have to just mess around with this once we get to opening day. I'll reset it and see if that makes any difference. Copy the depth of lineups. Paste the lineup. RDH. That. Let's come over here against lefties now. So leading off against lefties will be Aka. I think we're gonna stick with the same. Might do. I don't want. Who do I want batting second? It's left. Hogan's. See again. It's just putting another. So we are gonna bat him higher up in the lineup though. It's gonna bat bottom again. Plugging people in where I know they're gonna go. Right there. Just can't really. You can do it. See, I don't want this. This is what I don't. So maybe just to split up those lines a little bit. Stick in. Depth chart. Let's paste that there. Let's move Ramirez, move him up one. Generate the depth chart, and let's sim ahead to opening day. And I'll reset the depth charts once we get to opening day. Yeah, I mean it was a decent spring training for us, 16 and 14. We have some young talent that I think is going to help us. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not let's see, message. Oh, we had some of our believers claimed. Fine. Is there any that I want to take a look? It's all still my guys. Get to opening day. We'll look at the preseason predictions. We'll look at prospects, and then call it an episode. Get into our first season as the new GM of the Boston Red Sox. I don't know if you can hear that noise in the background. My wife has decided to bust out the power washer today and power wash the side of the garage. So that is, if you can hear it. Alrighty. So 500 baseball. We lost a couple players. That's fine. Prospects. We don't have anybody. System rankings. We are fourth. Gonzalez, Rushing, Guaraca, Gonzalez, and Enderville. It's pretty solid. 5 in the top 60. Season predictions. 83-79. Pitching staff's not going to be so good. We're not going to hit runs. Listed here. Sixto Sanchez expected 13-10. Cubs are expected to go 95-67. Vlad is going to have a good year for them. Pruitt and Pearson. Waiver wire. Quickly before we call it a day. I mean, really? Really? Do I go after the Cubs again? I mean, I feel like it's the right move. CJ used to be a solid prospect, didn't make it. This version of OOTP. 7-year old. I'll think about Quintero. We could use another, definitely use another catcher. Jared Jones, really? Yeah, I mean, not sure what the new regime is doing over there on the south side or on the north side, but let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And we'll see what happens. My plan wasn't to take any more players from the Cubs, but if they're going to just keep offering them up to me, I may as well. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. When we come back, it will be probably June 1st, and we will do the draft and the trade deadline. Let me know your thoughts. Like and subscribe. And until we talk again, everybody take care. Bye-bye.